publishers.com. This is our monthly event that we call Stories in Beer. Has anybody not been to Stories in Beer before? Cool, we've got a whole new crowd. If you're not familiar with Triple Pundit, okay, everyone knows everything about us, so I don't need to say anything. But in a nutshell, we're an online publication focused on sustainability in business. This is a monthly event that we put on here at the Hub to sort of manifest what we do in a literal conversational sense. Sit down and have a beer and tell some stories about what we do and discuss an interesting topic. If you haven't been to the Hub before, that's the space you're sitting in right now. This is a co-working space / incubator. Everyone here has a focus on some kind of social or environmental issue. Carrie, who probably can't hear me, would be happy to answer any questions that you have about the Hub. Great place to host an event, great place to work, great place to learn about. Without further ado, tonight's conversation, which is being broadcast to approximately 12 million people, or at least slightly more folks than are here. Yeah, series took up a little bit of the crowd tonight, but we're really glad you guys made it. One of the things that we're constantly trying to talk about at Triple Pundit is kind of building the business case for what we do, building the business case for talking about, caring about, taking action on sustainability, which is one of those words that I wish we had a better one for, but call it paying attention to social and environmental issues and why a business ought to care about it. A lot of us do care about that kind of thing, but sometimes it's hard to draw our business case for, especially if you're a big company, but even if you're a small company, and a lot of times even if you're an individual. So tonight's conversation is going to nail that topic head on. We're calling it the ROI of sustainability. With me are McGee Young, who's the founder of Meterhero. I'll let you introduce yourself real quick. And Elizabeth Sturgeon with the Environmental Defense Fund. Why don't we just start right in? Give us a real short 30 seconds to a minute. Who are you and what do you do? And by the way, just to cut you guys off, this is really intended to be a conversation, especially when we have a small group. So I'm kind of going to leave this off with no more than 15 minutes, 10 maybe, of kind of kicking the conversation off, and it's really up to you guys. So get your questions ready, get your hands up. You guys can ask questions too if you want. And the intent here is to really to stoke a good conversation. So
yeah, I've got a question for you already, which is why you're feeling like the term sustainability doesn't cut it. So
well, tell us who you are, but in a nutshell, I don't think it's not that it doesn't cut it, it's that it cuts it better than anything else you can think of.
Yeah.
And I've always felt that there was there's a missing piece of that conversation. You talk to people about it, they kind of go, "Oh, you mean philanthropy?" Not exactly.
In terms of business.
Business, yeah. Particularly. But in individuals, "Oh, you mean green?" Like, yeah, green, but it's a little bit more than that. And, it's this term that's meant to invoke kind of what we're all about, the triple bottom line, the idea of combining the priority of environment, economy, and society. And to us, that's what sustainability means. We use it very loosely. We incorporate CSR, we incorporate, all sorts of environmental matters, social activism, everything. But it clearly doesn't obviously mean that for everybody, and that's a challenge.
Well, you're right, this is a loud microphone. And it feels very old school. And I managed to...
Try it.
Hello?
There you go.
Okay, good. I'm Elizabeth Sturgeon, and Managing Director of Corporate Partnerships at Environmental Defense Fund, and I'm here in our San Francisco office. I've been at EDF for 18 years now, pretty much straight since grad school, and I've continued to stay there because there's always been something interesting and challenging and new to work on, and I was just telling these guys and have a bigger impact. Over the years, we have worked, EDF was a leader in really creating a model of corporate partnerships, companies working directly with environmental groups. Before our first partnership with McDonald's, it really wasn't done. And because of the risk to us as an environmental group, we set some requirements in that initial partnership that have remained to this day. And those have to do with the fact that we don't accept funding directly from our corporate partners. We get funding from foundations and benefactors, so we can maintain our independence and our credibility as an environmental group. It also means that we are really interested in results and outcomes and taking the learnings from projects and being able to spread those around. So over the years, I've done a variety of different projects with UPS on their packaging, FedEx, creating their next generation truck. I just saw one. It's pretty cool, taking a lift over here. I saw what I call my FedEx truck, which of course is so not true, but I feel proud about that, quite proud. But it was really a project like that that was great, and it made a difference. It's on the road, and it was a real bridge technology, a hybrid technology that was really important to get into that segment. It just wasn't enough, and I think it made us realize that we needed to do more. We needed to have a bigger impact, and so at that point, EDF tried to redirect to doing things that had bigger leverage, so working with private equity firms, which control 8% of GDP, creating a program called Climate Core, which takes grad students and puts them into companies to find energy efficiency and other energy opportunities, and really, both sets the company on a different path, and then also really, I think, affects the next generation of business leaders, which is even more important. And then doing work like the work I've been doing for the past 10 years, like our partnership with Walmart. When Walmart decided to begin its sustainability journey, we decided I was just coming back from maternity leave, and I'm like, yeah, I want to do that. That's going to be a big impact, and it is. It's they've got 100,000 suppliers across the globe. Over now 240 million people shop in their stores every week. It's a huge impact, and Walmart, in effect, can become a regulator. And these days, where we're not getting a lot done on the national front in terms of policy, it's a powerful lever for change. So I can say some more about that work. We've been working in a variety of different areas, like climate change, chemicals, fertilizer use that affects water quality and greenhouse gases, and again, always trying to use that lever in the supply chain to create big environmental change.
Thanks a lot. Maybe tell us a little bit about who you are and give us a quick lowdown on Meterhero.
Okay, so my name is Miggy Young. I'm the founder and CEO of Meterhero. I'm actually new to the business world. This is actually the first real job that I've ever had.
This is the real job.
Well, I don't know if this is or not. So I was an academic since grad school, and a political science PhD. And I studied sort of the intersection of political organizations and collective action. So how do we get people to join, form interest groups, and what kind of policy change can we expect out of that? My work there led to a bunch of interesting projects around sustainability. So, my own research was on organizations like the Sierra Club and NRDC. I never really spent much time with EDF, but that was always in the periphery of what I was doing. And sort of a frustration with kind of the broken national policymaking system. How are we going to tackle problems like climate change and water scarcity, given the fact that we can't, even the smallest of policy changes seem impossible now. So out of that frustration, I started to learn how to build software and to reach people through new avenues. The first project that I worked on that actually came of something was a water project where we took the data that the city of Milwaukee held on. So this is kind of a funny story. So Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I was in Wisconsin, a very progressive state, a very loose open records law. So your home water use data was a public record. And being a good political scientist, I knew how to do Freedom of Information Act requests, and so I politely asked for all of the records of every home water user and built a website where you could type in your address and see your water use or your neighbors. And like if they did that here, there would be blood on the streets. But it was really interesting because people, are like, oh my God, I never really sort of got that before, and like I didn't feel like I really do anything and make a difference. And so over a couple of iterations, failures and successes, I left academia to focus full time on building Meterhero as a company, and we see it as a way to solve problems like climate change and water scarcity. The kind of, the elevator pitch version is we pay people to save water energy. We do that by partnering with companies that have sustainability programs. And they fund rebates that we award to homeowners who save based on the volume of their savings. So every gallon, kilowatt hour of therm that you save, and we use your monthly utility bills as a way to measure this, earns you money. And so it turns you from a consumer of water and energy into a producer of sustainability, a producer of ecological benefits and economic health. Your question about sustainability, is that a good word or a bad word? Winston Churchill said, democracy is the worst form of government except for all the others. And sustainability is probably the worst word that we have for this except for all the others. I think that we can actually do ourselves a favor and define it a little bit. So I think the problem comes where we use it loosely to mean a lot of different things, and if we were a little bit more honest with ourselves in terms of what we mean when we say sustainability, I think the word becomes a lot more useful then.
Good. As I was going to ask you guys to define it, and I say we just roll. So, sustainability, right? Let's first talk about what you just talked about is really cool. I want to get into it a little bit more because you've actually created a structure that's actually creating a financial reward, both for the consumer, which is what I hate, but again, one of those words, right? The people and the corporations who are funding this. But before we get into that, short-term thinking, to me, that's one of the things that is kind of driving the unsustainable thinking, both from a personal perspective, but certainly from a business perspective. Business, well, down the line, I see it's a good idea to, work on our energy use or work on this, or but I don't know, it's just too expensive, and our incentive structure is set up in such a way that it makes that difficult. Do you agree? And why do you think that's the case? If you agree? And share some examples. You just turned it into your question, because if you want to talk about Walmart, that's great, but anything that you think, where do you see that manifest or fixed?
And in terms of defining sustainable, I'm going to go ahead and harken back. I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah,
harken back to something a political scientist should know about. I'm probably a science major too. The Brundtland Commission, which defines sustainable development, is basically meeting the needs of the present without compromising meeting the needs of the future. And I think that's a great way to think about it. And sustainable kind of works in a business sense too, right? Like it's, if the business isn't sustainable financially, they're not going to be around for a while. And if what they're working on in their sort of sustainable portfolio doesn't make sense in the short and especially in the long term, well, it's not going to work. They're going to fail. Period. I think fundamentally the short-term perspective is, I agree that's a core issue. Like every time we keep getting tripped up on that, and it's these structures, right? It's quarterly earnings reports. Period, right? It's the way the accounting and financial structures are set up to focus solely on shareholder value and not think more broadly. And yet, I still think that companies who are going to survive in the long term and thrive, they are thinking beyond. You just have to. I think it's just stupid. They will not last long if they don't think beyond just shareholders. Do you have a perspective, Mickey?
This is why this is stories and beer, so we can say something like that's dumb. So I'm going to try to quote a dead British guy every time I John Maynard Keynes, who's an economist, said in the long run we're all dead. And so sustainability is sort of an irrational act, because in the long run is a collective good. And it's in nobody's individual interest to solve a collective good like the long run. It is in all of our own individual interest to solve the short run, which is what we do very effectively. So the trick and kind of the premise behind Meterhero is to create short-run incentives that also help solve long-run problems. In my classes, we talk about the prisoner's dilemma, where it's in investing with the individual interests of each right on the other. What I find interesting is in San Francisco, we have a huge open source software movement that creates all sorts of public goods that allow Silicon Valley to thrive and to create vast amounts of economic wealth. And if we can do this with open source software, maybe there's a small chance we can do this with other public goods like the long run or the environment or the social good. And I think, to me, that's what sustainability means, is creating structured systems that empower people to solve for long run problems while also pursuing their own short-term interests.
All right, so I'm gonna ask one question. I want you guys to start to give me questions. And I'm hoping we can get two kind of different answers. It could be wrong. But this is really just about you guys and how you're working with companies and your experience with all of that. In terms of driving a more sustainable mindset, or if you want to define it, I'm guessing that you're going to have a more literal sort of, we give you a specific value for a specific dollar, and here's how you're going to measure it, and boom. And I'm guessing that EDF, especially since you're not taking funding from these companies, you've got the opportunity to encourage them in both an objective and a subjective way about why a company should make X, Y, and Z change. So just give us a little bit about how you're working with those companies, how you sell yourself really, and sell a bigger idea of sustainability, and how that's been manifesting in the various partnerships that you've got going.
So Adam Smith says, Scottish, I don't know, does that count? The division of labor is limited by the extent of the market. And so what we tell companies is that 20, 30 years ago, you could get away with selling unsustainable products. But this generation and the ones moving forward will expect nothing less out of you. And so if you're not selling to them, then you're going to be missing a huge market. It's difficult to reach consumers, especially millennials, with sustainability messaging. They don't buy it. For a second, I think you're greenwashing. So we created.
But that was a bit of a, because you were saying that it is something that they need to do or not do, but yet there's still a challenge with the new generation.
Absolutely. So they're both skeptical and demanding at the same time. And so how do you solve for this as a company? Some don't tell their story. Some say, well, you should check out our website. And the loneliest page on a company website is its sustainability page. It's 48-page glossy color sustainability report talking about all the good things that it does. Nobody pays attention to it. So we say, go ahead. With Meterhero, you can actually fund a conservation rebate that gets paid to somebody when they do something good. And that helps offset your own water energy footprint. You're not asking them to buy your product, you're sharing values with them. And for the consumer, that it's not getting hit over the head with some messaging that doesn't seem authentic. It's we appreciate the work that you're doing, whether it's in your home or elsewhere, for the environment, and we want to empower that as a company. So it's not the same transactional level of advertising and marketing that consumers are used to. It's an orthogonal engagement that we're finding that consumers really like, and companies are starting to appreciate the value of being able to engage them in that way versus Bud Light or Miller Lite tastes very less filling. That kind of is an old and tired way of getting at consumer values.
So just to ask one little question on the side. So I save 100 gallons or whatever. I use 100 gallons less this month than I did last month. Company pays me something. What does the company actually get for that? Does it, do they get to write down that they were responsible for me saving that money, and therefore they can claim a certain credit for that or something? Does that manifest financially for them? Is that a PR thing? Is that awesome, we feel good, like how does it actually, goes on with the company itself?
So that's, we don't ask questions of people when they save, like if it's a shorter shower or you don't, like watch your dog as much or whatever, like that's your, like, that's, I don't know, whatever it is that you do, and that's your business, right? And what a company does with its own, stories and its own marketing, that's for the company to decide. We provide that opportunity for them to tell that story, right? So, and certain companies do it that way, where they say, oh, we're offsetting or whatever, and others are very transparent about, we just want more people to buy our stuff. And that's fine.
Because you're helping build a relationship with these customers.
Right. So they don't see it as being ecological, they see it as savvy marketing. But again, that short run thinking, right, builds long run ecological value. They don't have to buy into environmentalism now to the environmentalists.
Because at the end of the day, you have a tangible reduction in consumption of water, electricity, whatever it is.
Precisely.
Elizabeth, give us the lowdown.
And first, to start off with a confession, my 10-year-old in the shower in the morning is a major water consumption problem in our household.
Easy way for you then.
So,
Okay, sign up for Meterhero.
yeah, I should totally do that. So I brought my this article that I think is so great, a report done by McKinsey, and I think it's great because it shows that sustainability is good. Period. It's just, as I said, I believe it's stupid not to be doing it. But this report called "Profits with Purpose: How Organizing for Sustainability Can Benefit the Bottom Line," by Sheila Benini, who now runs the Sustainability Consortium, and Stephen Swartz. It's really an excellent article. Profits with Purpose. I just think it's great because they've done some really deep research into this, and I am going to read a little bit because it's fascinating, the results. According to research by Deutsche Bank, which evaluated 56 academic studies, companies with high ratings for environmental, social, and governance, ESG factors, have a lower cost of debt and equity. 89% of the studies they reviewed showed that companies with high ESG ratings outperform the market in the medium 3 to 5 year and long 5 to 10 year term. All the studies show this. There's another one researched by 3 economists, from some okay institutions, Harvard and London Business School, suggesting that sustainability initiatives can actually help improve financial performance. According to the author's calculations, an investment of $1 at the beginning of 1993 in a value-weighted portfolio of high sustainability companies would have grown to $22.60 by the end of 2010, compared with $15.40 for the portfolio of low sustainability companies. The high sustainability companies also did better with respect to return on assets and return on equity. So, the data are just continuing to show not just correlation, but actual causation. I think that it's inescapable. And, truly with Walmart, I think that 10 years ago, the CEO just, after Katrina hit and Walmart saw the effects basically of climate change and stepped in and realized, in truth, it was a defensive maneuver to start off with. They were getting hit quite a bit, and they thought, well, we better get it. Lee Scott said, I thought I better get ahead of this one. And then they started down this path, and the benefits were so positive. Bottom line benefits, of course, in terms of cost savings, and certainly top line benefits in terms of employee associate engagement and risk reduction, supply chain reduction. When they sell things, if they don't have anything to sell because there's no water to produce it, they've got a real problem. So, any company that's thinking about supply chain risk cannot help but look at these things. And so they took, at EDF's urging, took a supply chain carbon reduction goal. And that was in 2010. They're coming up at the end of it, toward the end of this year. And I think that I'm quite proud of that because I believe that has spawned some real systems transformation work, like asking farmers who produce products that are made and sold on their shelves to optimize fertilizer use. Nitrogen that is applied to crops, and there's a lot of corn in beef, and there's a lot of corn in sodas, and a lot of fertilizer use in all their food products. And Walmart's the biggest grocer in the United States, and over 60% of their income in the US comes from grocery. So it's a big part of it and growing part of their business. Well, when they looked at their product, across their product categories, the biggest greenhouse gas hotspot was fertilizer use. And so they asked farmers way up the supply chain to optimize fertilizer use. Another thing that's emerged from this work is the closed loop fund, which is some money that Walmart and a bunch of other consumer product companies put together to create basically a fund to help fund infrastructure to recycle plastics. So Walmart was asking suppliers for increased post-consumer recycled plastic in their products and packaging, and well, you know, that's great, but there just isn't much out there. There's a real infrastructure issue, and when you don't have municipalities able to build the infrastructure, this is an innovative solution to kind of really get at the circular economy. And it's just baby steps. Let's keep it all in perspective. A lot more needs to be done, but it's a really good first step. And one other example, I think, is the toxics use in consumer products. And this is one where, you know, the business case is harder on this one because, you know, you don't get cost savings from asking your suppliers to remove hazardous chemicals. There's no cost savings. Indeed, there's maybe more costs. And I think it's a tricky consumer message. How do you say, oh, the stuff we're selling today, it's better for you than the stuff we had on the shelf yesterday. It's really tricky. And so I think it was a real leadership move when they identified about 10 chemicals they wanted suppliers to remove from their products and asked that their private label brands be certified as designed for environment. And then also importantly, their policy focuses on, you know, safer substitutes, not just substitutes with something that may or may not be better. So I think it's interesting that, and I think it's a good long-term perspective in terms of sustainability on the toxics. I think that's it. That one is one that is a stretch in the business side.
Excellent. Looks like we're ready for our first question, and the timing is perfect. So let's roll.
Okay. Dennis, I'm sorry. Elizabeth. I'm very familiar with it. Been here so much in DC. As well, so stuff. It's long. The point is on sustainability and getting that out. And both you mentioned this single page on the website and going into a store like Walmart, rightly so, a number of things they've done. Solar roofs and that pushed price. That was good. And I realize you are not looking for Walmart. But as far as like getting it out with the food industry, especially in mass market, better in trying to have like, you know, big brands and stores or Whole Foods, private label brand, trying to put out a brand that is a lot higher sustainable than a lot of the other things for sure that people eat. And they would also pay a higher price for that so people can begin to understand. And then the second part of it, whether to do that, you really have to focus on the label so people understand. So you really be paying for more, you know, use so you can see that you cuts down on some of this stuff. And again, that's a hard issue that you could not do alone. But do you think there's a place for something like that? So sustainability is not nice. This is something that, yes, we have to pay price for.
So it sounds like you're asking, you know, what can a company like Walmart or perhaps another major retailer do to sort of educate the consumer by means of introducing a brand or perhaps upgrading their own brands to kind of communicate something along the lines of sustainability. And Safeway does that, right? They have the organics. I don't know what Walmart does, but
Well, I think Walmart's done a
what's the
bad,
business case for
Yeah.
educating the customer?
I think Walmart's done a bad job on educating customers about sustainability. And there's no doubt about it. I think that's one area that where their sustainability work needs improvement. One recent notable exception is their sustainability index was just used to put a sustainability leaders badge on certain product companies that are in product categories. It's by product category, and whichever company is the leader in that category based on the Sustainability Consortium data and identification of environmental hotspots and response to Walmart's Sustainability Index survey. That sustainability leader badge is on products in walmart.com. And so I think that's like a baby step forward. And for a while you couldn't even find it on the homepage, but now you can actually find it on the homepage. And I think that's good. It's just such a baby step. There's so much more communication that needs to be touching consumers. But I also think it's the wrong approach to have a green brand or to segment that green market. I shop at Whole Foods because that's what we have in the city. We don't have Walmart, right? But I was thinking about this when Sierra Club put their imprimatur on the Clorox products that were green. I'm forgetting the name actually right now, but
Greenworks.
Greenworks. And I think that Greenworks is great, but it's all of their products should meet that requirement. I mean, and that's what Walmart's trying to do, like bring everyone up. Everyone should meet, and everyone should be a leader on sustainability. I mean, our planet can suffer nothing less. I think just focusing on a green brand just doesn't get at the poor people, the poor women, middle-class women who shop in Walmart in the middle of the country. They should be able to buy sustainable products too, period.
I'll tell you a funny story about the Clorox thing. And maybe names and had a conversation with somebody from Clorox about exactly that subject. And this was years ago when we had just introduced the Greenworks product, and I said exactly what you said. I said, this is great, right? It works just as well as regular stuff. Of course it does. It works just as well, but more expensive, but whatever. And I said, well, why don't you just make the rest of the stuff green, so to speak, whatever the word is. And they said, well, here's the deal. And then we're in this long explanation of how they had the whole thing segmented. They got their green consumers, they got their I don't care consumers, they got their hostile consumers. And they literally said, I quote more or less, X percentage, something big, like 15 or 20% of our consumers will not buy a cleaning product unless it says, this will kill you and your entire family if you spill it in the wrong corner of your rug, right? Because people have it into their head where like a cleaning product is supposed to be toxic and deadly poisonous. And and I don't know, maybe 10 years ago that was almost excusable in sort of a because you're just getting started kind of way, but it was amazing to see that. So I think you're absolutely right about that. And secondly, it doesn't have to necessarily cost more. We assume that it does. And in some cases it does, but it doesn't necessarily. I'm curious to hear what you have to say on that subject, either just what we've been talking about, but also you've found a way, and of course it's a little bit easier when you're talking about measuring, energy and water use. That's just, X equals dollars. But still, you've found a pretty compelling, you can put cash in my pocket, whether I'm conscious of it or not, it's icing on the cake, the sustainability side of it. What are your thoughts? So, like a lot of these, I have very strong feelings about this. And I hate the status symbol of green products. There are more speeding tickets per mile driven earned. When you get a speeding ticket, people who cost per mile driven. Yeah, people who drive Priuses get more speeding tickets per mile than any other car brand because they're driving a hybrid and therefore they can go
faster and it's better for the earth.
And is that true? What is it?
It's Freakonomics. I don't have a dead British guy quote this one, but it's, and what I can encounter quite a bit is that people who buy green products, I say, hey, would you like to save, do more to save water and energy in your home? And they say, oh, I already do a good job. And that's it. Like, there's no more discussion. I already do a good job because I drive a Prius and I bought the green Clorox. And so when we think about solutions, the other way in which this manifests itself is that when we think about solutions, we think about the others, right? Those people who aren't already doing a good job. And we say those others should be punished in some way. So this is what's happening in the drought now, is where we should be punishing those water scofflaws with massive fines and we know how this story ends, right? Because the punishment is always inflicted upon those least able to defend themselves. And so the same way that the criminal justice system in the state of California tends to be overwhelmingly brown and poor, our water policy is going to look overwhelmingly brown and poor when we start fining or incarcerating the worst water offenders. And so rather than treating it that way, why don't we think about ways of empowering people to become more green, right? So I don't have a solution for everything, but in terms of what we do, when we pay people a penny per gallon for savings, when it's somebody who's relatively affluent and they get $8 at the end of the month, they're like, okay, that was nice. When it's somebody who's on a fixed income or who's in Section 8 housing and they get $8 at the end of the month for saving, that's actually meaningful money for them. And rather than raising the prices to make you conserve more, to punish you for using too much, if you paid somebody for doing their part, it helps those at the bottom end of the economic pyramid first. And I think that's what sustainability should be more and more driving towards, is figuring out not how we capture the top end of the Whole Foods market, but how we capture the low end of the Safeway market.
In the back.
I wonder if there's a tool, if EDF or we work with Walmart has a tool for promoting different benefits of the product. Like say the product meets performance standards, it meets performance standards, it saves money, it saves shopping time, it's concentrated, you don't have to go out and replace something all the time, it's durable or whatever, and it protects your surfaces, it saves money, it's very cost effective.
Like a rating system.
It's convenient. Is there anything like that in Walmart or in Safeway? I'm asking because I work with one of the first green cleaning services in Silicon Valley, and on day one, and they hardly spoke English, and day one, they told me to ask them about all these different questions, like, is it more complicated, does it work, is it more expensive, and is it complicated, and I asked them all these questions, and all of them said yes, 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 to all of these questions. And then after day one, after they experienced using the products and learning more about it, I had asked them the same questions again, and they gave the thumbs up and thumbs down. The whole, every single one was, they had, their thumbs were down. They did not believe this anymore, and they said, don't work with any of the groups. We don't want any competition. And but this message isn't getting out to consumers. And just wonder if there's any tool for communicating that.
So again, it's sort of back to consumer education.
Consumer education, the last frontier. I do think that is really very powerful, and really, really important. And EDF hasn't focused that much on that because we focus on the big levers, and the big levers is, in the supply chain, it's on the demand side, expressing demand for more sustainable products and having suppliers respond to that demand. But that said, I think that there's an inevitable march to what you're talking about, and I think that will happen probably sooner rather than later. On formulated products, there is a product-specific system called Good Guide that you can use to understand your different products, and that's at the product level. And so, I think that will eventually get there with all products, but we're not there yet because it's really complicated, right? And how do you take all of this information, look across all of the possible environmental impacts, and how do you weigh toxics versus greenhouse gases, and how do you communicate that in a really simple, easy way to a consumer shopping in a store or even online. It's really challenging to do so in a way that has integrity and is yet simple.
And I'm calling you sick, but sometimes though, I wonder, consumer education is great. It's great that everybody, gets excited and enlightened about sustainability. But at the end of the day, a lot of people, they're busy. They don't have a ton of time, and even I don't whip out a good guide all the time when I go shopping, and I'm sitting around and thinking about this stuff all the time, right? And it's a time consuming. So I don't know, the rating here, it's complicated ratings. Some have it super subjective. I think most people really want to know, did Oprah Winfrey say this is good or not, right? And so I think that sometimes there's an opportunity for, look, a lot of this just has to happen behind the scenes. And it isn't really, we like to get all free market about it and say, oh, well, when the people ask for it, then we'll do it. Right? Well, to a certain extent, that's good. But, at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff just has to, you've got to make some kind of case inside.
I was going to ask if you think there's always a business case for sustainability. Is there always going to be ROI there that you can point to? Is it just kind of segmented to certain markets?
No. And that's why, guess what, folks? We need government. It's true. There's only so much that startups and a voluntary large corporate action can do, period. Those will be the leaders. The laggards will not follow until you have regulation, and that's why it is utterly necessary. And so I hope that the work that McGee's doing to show entirely different models, and the work that I'm doing to show that a big company is doing these things and thinks it's good for business. By the way, a big conservative Arkansas company, I was there on election day last fall, and the folks who won, and governor and senator in Arkansas, are extremely conservative. And so when you have Doug McMillon, the CEO of Walmart, saying discrimination, for example, against LGBT workers is not okay, this religious freedom law is not acceptable, that's huge. That's not environment, that's social sustainability. But so what could startups and companies like this do to show what's possible, and that there is that the business versus the environment is a lot of times just meaningless, and it is. I think that's the real power. But in the end, you need regulation. You need companies to step up to the plate and say that we need to do something about climate change, and it's a public good thing, right? It's tragedy of the commons. We have to all work together on this, and it's not going to get solved otherwise.
Totally disagree. So I think your question is actually goes back to Vic's first question, which is what is sustainability? And if you define sustainability really broadly, you can come up with cases where it's hard to think an ROI for it. I think sustainability is kind of an oxymoron because it implies sort of a commitment to the status quo. Right, so actually, I think
sustain it just the way it is.
Yeah, right. How dumb is that? And so, yeah, let's enshrine all of the bad practices of today for tomorrow's generation. Like, awesome. So actually, I like to think of it in terms of resilience. And so we are actually living in a very dynamic world. And so sustainable companies will be the highly resilient companies. And that resilience is a resilience to external changes as well as internal changes and then challenges from competitors and new technologies. And so the degree to which you can build organizational structures that allow you to be adaptive and even sort of forward-thinking and forward-acting, your company will be sustainable, and the world will be better off for it. And if you're not sustainable, ideally, you'll be put out of business, and climate change will put you out of business, or whatever situation is happening will put you out of business. The worry is that doesn't always work out well, right? So it could be that the good guys get put out of business, and that the bad guys, the unsustainable ones, are the ones that are resilient and adapt to these changes. So that's where I think government comes in, that we do need that, we need a more functional state to be able to make sure that the good guys have a fair chance of winning.
So when we've been talking about ROI, convincing consumers and businesses to get on board with sustainability, but if we expand the thought of return, right, and look beyond just handing over a dollar and maybe doing something like talking to business about retention rates or other things that are outcomes of sustainability, treating your employees better, all that can be wrapped into sustainability. For consumers, maybe the pride of knowing that you're eating lunch your neighbor and saving water. What are the other drivers like, and are those convincing either consumers and businesses to jump on board with sustainability, or is it still right now we're still in the infancy of just a dollar is all it's driving the decision?
Yes, and yes, and yes. So I don't know what your experience is, but there's every business that you talk to has a different answer for that, right? Some are very kind of forward-thinking, and you look at a Unilever, and from the top down, they embrace this broad notion of sustainability. I used to live until recently in Milwaukee, where the companies have been around for 100 years. They've gone through really wrenching changes, and they're not really keen on embracing the next new wave of whatever. If it hasn't been proven for 30 years, they're not really going to go for it. So I think that you have just an incredible range of businesses. I'd be interested to hear if you think that you have a little bit better read on this than I do. If there's more, if the Walmarts and the Unilevers of the world if there's a bandwagon effect that's starting to happen, are companies seeing that and following suit, or are there still most of them kind of waiting to see how it plays out? And I apologize if that steals your question too much, but I think it's sort of important.
Well, just over the time that I've been doing this work, which to me feels like a long time, 18 years feels like a long time, but in reality it's nothing. Things have changed so much. When I sent a survey to the overnight shipping companies, and we ultimately partnered with UPS, my partner inside said, yeah, we've got 60 Minutes was knocking on our door. And we were the first NGO to set foot on that campus. It was a world away. Companies were not doing this. It was scary. It just was really foreign to them. And over the years, companies started off with kind of setting up the employee recycling program, and it started off with that. And Dow Chemical did some wetlands restoration on its headquarters, and great, but it's not focusing on their core environmental impact. And, eventually, companies who are smart realize that for sustainability to really have positive business returns, it has to be at the core of their business. And I think that's the generation that you're seeing today. It's getting to the core of their business and changing how they're doing business. And they're also thinking about it in a much more holistic way. That's, they're looking at beyond, our Dove body wash, well, gosh, the biggest greenhouse gas impact is from my son using it in the shower in the morning and taking way too long in the shower. That's the biggest water and energy impact of their product. And so taking responsibility for that and engaging the supply chain and thinking much more holistically. And so I think that, and then in addition, kind of really embracing wholly different business models, and I think that's maybe the next wave.
And a lot of, we were mentioning as well, there's a certain fear that isn't specifically about sustainability, it's just about a fast changing world and technology and everything else that's going on. And being able to recognize that and realize that sustainability is very much a part of that. In the front end, we'll but
I just wanted to add a little bit of a quick share we have for consumers. I'm visiting from Boston and work for communications. And we have done for 20 plus years consumer research about how consumers react when companies act in socially responsible ways. And the research we've done over the years has always said a consistent thing: if price and quality of the product are equal, consumers will favor the product that's linked to a cause. For the last 6 or 7 years, we've done second-year research globally. And the research for this year is about to come out in about 2 weeks. And on the issue of consumers' attitudes and behaviors, there's, I thought, significant radical change in answers. And the good news in that is that the new answers say consumers are willing to buy less, to pay a little more for environmental benefits, to borrow or share instead of buying their own, and even to accept lower efficacy for a product that is tied to environmental benefits, which is exactly the opposite of what the traditional norms have been. Now, and this is in 8 of the 9 countries we surveyed. The majority of consumers.
who's the one on?
Japan. Well, Japan in one case, for one of the questions I just rounded off, and India. But in the U.S., it was consistent. 2/3 to 3/4 of consumers answered yes to those things. Now, we haven't seen that before. And it may or may not be real, but it certainly is aspirational. And the mere fact that people are saying that, even if they don't yet do it, may represent the beginning of a big shift in consumers' willingness to take things on for themselves. Maybe out of guilt, maybe out of fear, maybe out of desire to do something. But in any case, it is a sign that consumers may be putting their dollars where their mouth is, where their mouth was for the first time. And that would be good news.
So let's go into quick answer mode. We got a little bit of time left in that funds, but so quick question, quick answer in the back, and then Jen.
It follows on something that ultimately the third school, third leg of the school is TV government regulation. Obviously, one of the problems is the sharp disconnect with anybody over there about the so that Arkansas, that since they're still coming out of a certain group that climate change, we're not sure about. And this is the opinion question for the panel, if you have a unified government response, saying we're working on it as opposed to primarily one party, we command business, and you sort of get almost like a World War II, working. Is that the drive needed, which would free up business to be both more honest and improving that sort of case? Maybe that's simplistic.
The miracle in DC for the sales.
Yeah. Again, you have to get that. The alternative is in California, DC, go away, let California do itself.
I don't know how to answer that. Yeah, of course, if the Republicans, the party of Teddy Roosevelt and Richard Nixon, who established EPA, there's nothing in sustainability that goes against the core of Christian or religious principles, and it's absolutely in line with good business. There's no reason why stewardship shouldn't be a part of their core party principles, and so I think we'll get there eventually. Things will swing so far, and people will realize that this is more fundamental. This isn't about having, clean air to breathe and water to drink, and we can't live without that. And so, and you know what, we may not figure that out, but China is. So.
Yeah, so no is my answer. I think, our fault, here's my old English guy, our fault lies not in our stars, but in ourselves. So it's not the fact that our government doesn't work. Our government is working exactly as it was designed to work, and it's reflecting the diversity of interests in the United States very effectively. And so it kind of hems and haws and makes little changes this way and that way, and that's what it's been doing for 250, 230 years. So to expect otherwise would be to expect something that our government is not, does not. So what we have to do is actually just do the work ourselves and quit waiting around for a savior.
And quick question, quick answers.
Oh, well, we'll see. We've got environmental defense fund, Meterhero, and I think the ROI and sustainability for energy and water is fairly well sorted. You save money by saving energy and saving water. But I'm wondering about the social side, people put it in pocket, and ROI on social sustainability is much more difficult to track. Is that an issue of tracking, or is that an issue of it being actually?
Good question. That was my secret question that I hadn't. But right, isn't that true? I mean, you can energy use, water use, simple to measure, return is obvious. What about all that squishy stuff out there? And anyone else wants to raise their hand and shout out?
Especially on a company like Walmart that has a lot of targets for social sustainability.
So what do you guys think? How are we going to measure that? How do we measure happiness, well-being, etc.? Or do we even, maybe, yeah, we're paying more, yeah, sure. Yeah. And you can measure, right?
I mean, I don't know what social sustainability is or means. So that's like, here's the answer though.
Well-being, happiness, poverty, violence, crime, all that sort of thing.
Yeah, so it's about empowerment, right? And if you can leverage sustainability to empower people, so we talk about people becoming producers of water and energy savings, producers of a better environment. When you become a producer, you own it, and therefore you feel good about it, and you feel like you can make a difference. To me, we work a lot with kids. When you teach a sixth grader how to measure their own water and energy use and how to save money for their family, that's hugely empowering and has immense social significance in the present and the future.
Good answer.
You're the environmental defense.
I know, I'm so, that's absolutely not a part of our mission, to be honest, but I think that eventually, societally, those two absolutely have to be linked. You've got the right triple there. Good job. We can't have environmental sustainability without social sustainability, and I'm on the board of the Sustainability Consortium, which looks at measuring environmental and social sustainability. The social side's been really, really hard, for sure. It's just absolutely hard to figure out what the big issues, the hot spots are, and figure out how to zero in on that. And so, yeah, I completely agree.
Okay, so some thoughts?
I was just gonna say, on the social side, a lot of things that you can start leveraging is consumer products are being sold in Walmart. So a lot of the NKP kind of technology that's used to tracking data for health is one incredible way to kind of get the metrics that we want to start measuring. This person is an incentivizing, right? I use macaroni, I want to give cheers the same night, so I want to do something like that to manage metric. If I can start getting discounts on making products that's more sustainable source or something like that globally,
maybe that person's life cycle becomes common. It's common practice, right? But that's, I believe that's kind of something that the research may not have, is because a lot of people in the US are getting used to it, they're getting used to Uber, and it's almost secondhand and popular to say, oh, just like to go here because I don't want to have a car, because I want to live in this car, I don't consider that's being sustainable. So I, as a person who's growing up, believe that that's definitely moving towards that. It's something that, even if it's not something that's your core principle, you can start pushing those people that this is another way to look and be a part of your core principle without saying, stop shouting.
Well, further along that line, there's companies like Walmart who get a lot of criticism for when their factories collapse in Bangladesh and that, you know, and you're not that you're arguing against it against the social sustainability and better wages and better safety programs, by arguing for environmental sustainability, but both of your funding streams come from environmental sustainability efforts by these various corporations. How do you argue that those two things are intertwined? How do you argue that environmentals are still worth it and have an ROI against the social sustainability?
Is that a question?
A little bit. So how?
I mean, our short answer is a recognition that all of this stuff is related. I mean, you talk about any sort of environmental issue, you forget about it, people are impoverished and miserable. I mean, that they're going to put food on their table in any whatever short-term decision it takes. And then, you talk about the economy, short-term economic needs, and it takes a lot to tell people, well, you gotta you have to preserve this because in the long run, this will make the economy better than it might be intention in the short run. So it was very much all related. That's, I guess, I feel like it should be very obvious, for those of us who sit around and think about this stuff, but it's definitely not obvious to everybody who's, especially folks that are in less fortunate circumstances. So, final thoughts. We're gonna wrap it. We can wrap it. Share some comments if you got it. And otherwise, we're gonna hang out for a little while longer. There's some more beer, some more wine, and the casual networking component of the evening. We'll hang out for just a bit. And you guys have anything last you want to say? Sign up for Meterhero. Check out
www.meterhero.com.
And McGee and Meterhero were kind enough to be a sponsor of Triple Funded this coming months. A whole series is devoted to this topic. It is creatively titled The ROI of Sustainability, so you can check that out on the site. There's some information about Meterhero there as well, including a form you can fill out to sign up for the program, which is pretty cool. I can't do it because my landlord pays my water bill, which is both good and bad. But otherwise I would.
Nick, that is not an excuse because your landlord can sign up, and I believe you have a PG&E account in your name.
I'm gonna double check.
And I think we're here because we knew that we would have an interesting audience to engage with. And so my final thought, I'm sure you'd share with me, is just thank you for coming tonight and asking us questions and listening. It's a real treat to be able to have a conversation with you guys.
Yeah, I'll just say that I find it inspiring and engaging to hear from you all and see folks who are on the cutting edge of doing some of the stuff that's next generation. And I really, the infusion of new ideas and really being pushed hard on hard questions and forced to think bigger is really, really important. So I appreciate that. And so unless we're all in this together, it's that cheesy saying, right? We all need to be doing everything we can and more to get where we need to go.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Hang out. And next month, actually, we're going to host this in Berkeley. And it's going to be about net neutrality. So a slightly different topic. But it's going to be terrific. The invite will be up sometime next week on the site. So thanks a lot.